1879, my great-grandfather, Daniel Frank Tolbert, who was 29 years old at the time, along with his father, who was William Richard Tolbert, right?
Yes.
They had heard about the American Colonization Society, which had started this homeland for blacks in Africa called Liberia. And they actually formed a corporation called the Liberian Exodus Association. Right in Charleston, they said that over 5,000 blacks from this area gathered, read the Liberian Declaration of Independence, sang the national anthem of Liberia. And that's how strong the whole spirit was of going back to Africa at that time.
Since America invented Liberia, it's been a land they've not been able to forget. The little West African country was given by the US to newly freed American slaves, but few want to live there today. In giving Liberia to the unwanted slaves, the US ignored the local indigenous people. They'd been in Liberia for centuries. American Liberians are the hated colonizers. In many ways, Liberia is the only American colony.
There were forces behind the reason why they would leave America. Firstly, the growing number of free black men were seen as a threat by the slaveholders in the South. They thought that with this number growing, it would give an incentive to the slaves to begin to revolt or to rebel. And there were several attempts. One of the most famous is the Nat Turner Rebellion. So this would be very much on the mind of the slaveholders. Then, of course, we must not forget Haiti as another example. Now, in the North, at the same time, America was beginning to industrialize. And during this period, parallelly, the immigration from Europe began to pick up. So in the North, the growing number of free black would be in competition with the coming immigration from Europe. So therefore, the white establishment in the North also wanted these people to leave. And then there was an ideological reason why they wanted them to leave. And the best spokesman for this ideological reason was Thomas Jefferson, who, to paraphrase him, said that even though he did not believe in slavery, and it was not morally right for some people to be held as slaves while others as masters, but he saw no possibility in his time or in the future where the two races could live in harmony and inequality in America. So it was better to remove them, the African that is, to take them back to the home of their ancestors. So Liberia is certainly an American invention. The settlers brought their experience and their conception of civilization to the shores of Africa. So certainly there were going to be a clash of cultures. Some of the settlers began to write back home to their friends, giving their experience and their observation. And briefly, let me read a letter, part of a letter. Our passage was longer than we expected. He means traveling from America to what would become Liberia, though very safe. And I'm very well pleased. My reason why is I can use my own privileges in every respect. There are a few white people out here, though they are very polite. I meet them sometimes in the streets, and they step one side of the pavements and touch their hats. These houses are a reflection of how they remember what the houses of the masters looked like before they came to Liberia. And these houses belong to successful farmers, because the people who would go up the St. Paul River to the different settlements, such as Clay Ashland, or New Georgia, or Bensonville, where the Tolberts come from. They were building this kind of house mainly from corrugated zinc and high pillars, from memory, from where they have come. Tubman was in power for approximately 27 years, from 1944 to 1971, his death. Tubman was America's favorite because when Tubman came to power, he was determined to stay in power. And to do this, he discovered that he had to do what the Americans wanted. So now, American businesses were coming in, American money was coming in, and later on, Liberia under Tubman would become of strategic interest for America's interest in all of West Africa. Now, Tolbert was just the reverse. He began to loosen up quickly the control that Tubman had imposed upon Liberia. And for that, he had to pay with his life.
What happened to the people on the picture?
Well, obviously the president was assassinated in the coup d'etat. My uncle Stephen died in a rather mysterious plane crash in 1975, and my own father was executed in 1980, some 10 days after the coup.